Hello there. If you like truth, you'll like it here. Welcome. Part 2. Melody, you in danger, girl. A serious assessment of a serious situation. Martel Holt legitimately hates Melody Cherie. He legitimately wants to see her fail. But more than that, he wants to see her demise, to witness it, to relish in it, to see it happen publicly. For Martel Holt, Melody Cherie's failing isn't enough. He wants to see her fall. So how is Martel Holt trying to accomplish this? Well, he's using the biggest weapon he can, her kids. He tried to use her self-esteem to bring her down by telling her that her sex wasn't enough and another woman was pleasing him. That's meant to hurt, period. It's meant for no other purpose. You do not lovingly tell someone that someone else is better than them in any way, let alone sexually. That is a jugular move. It is meant to break one apart. And yes, it got a response. When Melody threw that glass, and you could hear it in her voice that it stung and it hurt, she was clutching at her worth, at her sense of womanly value. But she never completely faltered. She regrouped. And she learned to stop entertaining the poison that was her ex-husband and limited her interaction with that demon. He didn't break her. His method did not succeed. So what do demons do when their method does not work? The Bible says the devil might flee for a season, but he'll come back at an opportune time. For Martel, that meant round 2. So what was his round 2? Having tried and failed to ruin her self-esteem, he tried to ruin her reputation. That's when the lies came. All of a sudden, she was cheating. She was cheating with their lawyer, with their friends, in a Volkswagen, and in a Benz. She was cheating with a dog, with a cat, with a bunny, and with a rat. She was cheating with the mailbox, with the remote, in an airplane, and on a boat. She was cheating here, she was cheating there, she was cheating everywhere. And when the public didn't believe his lies, he then resolved to plant his own sexual encounter with his own wife, using his own moralless mistress as his personal henchman. You can't make this up. Luckily, his wide, bass-mouthed mistress can't hold her tongue, let alone a coherent thought, and confided in someone with a moral compass who had the good sense God gave grits to get away from that demon with braces and go tell it on the mountain what Dumb and Dumber were up to. That was Carson being used by God, and I hope she was blessed as a result of that, because she did good and brought to light what the devil intended to be kept in the dark. Good on her. Blessings to her. But look at the desperation on this man. Who would do such an evil thing to an enemy, let alone a person you loved for a decade and a half? Could you even imagine the amount of no goodness that has to exist in you for you to commit such a heinous act on another person? Even without sharing children with that person. But it gets that much worse when you think about the fact that this man also has children with this woman. Yet, this is what he tried to use to break her, to ruin her. And yet again, it didn't work. So the demon scurried away for a brief moment and reassessed. Having tried to destroy her self-esteem and it not working, then her reputation and it not working, now he's going for the ultimate takedown. He's trying to tear her down using her kids. He nibbled at this demonic concept before, but it was just nibbles. When he tried to use the kids before, it wasn't about the kids. When he tried to gain custody of the children, it wasn't for the children's sake. He knows that Melody is a great mom, so he did not feel like the children needed better parenting. When he went for custody, it was to secure resources. In other words, he needed money. He needed to be taken care of, like he'd been taken care of before, like the male diva that he is. And he knew he would not be able to do it on his own, because he lacks imagination, intelligence, fortitude, and follow-through, as well as know-how and acumen. So he knew he would need Melody. Not Melody the woman, but Melody the machine. The Melody that had gotten them from being working class to being on the verge of wealthy. He needed that, not her, and gaining custody of her children was a way to secure his lifestyle. No more, no less. That's all that was about. Not the kids, not even hurting Melody per se. It was about getting Melody's money and being able to continue on with the lifestyle he had grown accustomed to. When he used the kids to get at Melody, again, by way of withdrawing his permission for them to film, it was another nibble. But this time, it served a twofold purpose. On the one hand, he wanted to lessen Melody's financial prowess by limiting what he thought was an income source for her. He does not see his kids as kids. He does not see them as separate entities with their own thoughts, feelings, and emotions. He sees them as money-making assets, as tools. And because he had not been able to successfully use his tools, aka his children, in a way that financially helped him, like for example, his book about going to Canada or Brazil or Cambodia or wherever the heck he was talking about going, failed. So he got upset. Especially because, in his distorted, twisted mind, Melody had been able to successfully use their tools, aka his children. So he thought by stopping their children from filming and even having a hand in removing his baby girl from her own hair care line, from her own budding enterprise, from her own tool of generational wealth, he thought that by doing that he would be limiting Melody's financial success. It had nothing to do with his children because he doesn't care about them, in my opinion. If he did, he would not have run out during the pandemic to have back-of-throat sex with a random stowaway that he had to turn around and paternity test when she became pregnant. He knew she was a gutter rat. That's why he knew to test her newborn when it came, because he didn't know who else she had been sleeping with. And he knew enough not to put it past her to have been sleeping around. So, knowing all that, knowing that he was sleeping with someone who could have been sleeping with someone else who could have passed the C-19 virus onto him, which would have then been brought into his home and gotten his newborn baby girl sick, he still chose to do it. That is not a good dad. That is not someone who cares about his kids. That is someone who will always and forevermore put himself and his needs before any other person. He will put his needs before his wife, his mistress, his kids, his mama, his daddy, his Lord and Savior, his dog, his cat. Nothing will ever come before him and his needs. So removing his kids from filming and from actively participating in their own business enterprises was for the purpose of taking money out of Melody's pockets, because he had not managed to use his kids to successfully put money in his own. The second of that twofold purpose was to make his illegitimate child his new tool. He had not been able to use his original set of tools, aka his 4 children with Melody, to make any money. Yet Melody had been able to use his 4 tools to make money. So he shut that down. But he needed a new plan. That's when he remembered he had a spare tool, his illegitimate child. But in his distorted, twisted mind, he thought that as long as his other 4 tools were primed and sharpened and at the ready, there would be no use for his spare tool. So he had to put his original 4 tools in the closet and pull out his new tool. He thought that by stopping the original 4 children from filming, it would make people interested in seeing his illegitimate kid. He didn't think necessarily that they would want to see the kid, but he knew that he would have a better chance at them paying any attention to the kid if the original 4 weren't in play. That was the whole reason he did what he did. It was why he took his first 4 children out of commission and began posing and posting anywhere and everywhere he could with the illegitimate child. And much to his chagrin, like what has been the case with all of his other efforts, this one didn't work either. So back to the drawing board he goes. Round 4. This time, for the first time, he's not trying to use the children for money. To recap, the first time, the custody debacle was to secure monthly child support, aka financial support, for himself. The second time, his use of the children was to stop Melody's successful use of the children, in his troubled opinion, and simultaneously move his other child to the forefront so that he could begin using him to secure financial support for himself. Now, this third time is different. This third time is about inflicting hurt, pure, unadulterated hurt and pain. It is not to make money off his kids, although, in my opinion, that's always in the back of his mind somewhere. This time, it is to hurt Melody, and he is using one of his favorite tools. No, not his 4 children born out of marriage, nor his 1 child born out of an affair, but his mistress, the empty-minded, dark, and decrepit-souled woman teen who is always ever ready to be used in whatever way Martell deems necessary. On my knees, you ask? Sure, no problem. In the rear, you ask? You got it, no problem. Terminate your mistakes, you ask? Done, no problem. Multiple times, you ask? As many as you need, no problem. Spend a decade of my youth being your disposable wet wipe, letting my daughter watch me be your meaningless cumcloth, letting her hear me talk about myself in the most sexually grotesque ways just to get a rise out of your wife, or to make the public think I'm valuable when secretly I know that I am not? Sure, I never thought you'd ask. No problem. So, needless to say, his mistress tool was ready to be used. And this time, Martell has decided to not take a nibble, but a good old bite out of Melody Cherie, using their children to do so. This time, he's using his kids to try to make Melody feel like a bad mom, by pitting her against his mistress, by making the mistress feel like a good mom. But not just his feelings. He's trying to be as loud as he can to make the public feel this way as well. He's trying to make Melody feel that by being a working mom, a traveling mom, a successful, non-traditional mom, she's somehow less of a mom, less of a good mom than his dingbat mistress, who's only able to be a traditional mom, by that I mean stay-at-home mom, because she has decided to lay on her back for a living. Being Martell Holt's Hoover vacuum is how she has decided to make her living. So she's able to be home all day, every day, doing absolutely nothing and being positively useless to society. But he has decided to weaponize her lack of a skill set and lack of any viable employment opportunities as her somehow being a good mom. This dude is nothing if not creative in his quest to destroy his ex-wife. Now, this is not unlike what he's done before. He has tried pitting the women against each other, though he used sex as the measuring stick. Now he's using mothering, and he has decided that Melody falls short because she is working and successfully financially supporting her children. Side note, now I hope she doesn't fall for this and drink his Kool-Aid. By that, I don't mean I hope she stops working, because of course she never will. She is a hard-working woman, so nothing Martell Slimy Holt will take her off that course. What I mean when I say I hope she doesn't drink the Kool-Aid is, I hope she doesn't play his game. Since he has decided it is somehow bad mothering for her to work and support her children, I hope she doesn't double down and start throwing money at her children in an effort to prove her motherly value. We've seen this before. Sometimes when a parent works so much that they don't have as much time with their children, they will compensate using gifts or tangible items. For Melody, this might look like buying them excessive gifts or gifts that are excessively expensive. I think I might have seen a post somewhere that either showed her children with red bottoms on or mentioning that she was buying them red bottoms. I personally don't think that's necessary. I think it's a waste. I think that is done more so for the opinions of others. Children grow an inch an hour, and they will have outgrown those very expensive shoes in no time. So, after any pictures taken, those expensive shoes will just be sitting in their closets collecting dust. What I would hope Melody would do instead is, instead of buying her children meaningless expensive items as a way to prove her motherly value, or even as a way to rub it in Martell Holt's face that he cannot afford to buy such things, I would hope that she would put that money to use for their future. Instead of a red bottom, buy the children some stocks. Instead of a Chanel or Gucci or Fendi, buy the children some property. Now, Melody is a smart woman, so I have no doubt that she is putting money away for her children for the future. But I would hope that instead of using her money to show the world that she and the children are doing okay, I would urge her to use the money to make sure that they are, in fact, actually okay. Make sure their college is paid off. Put businesses and other assets in their name. At their ages, compound interest is a thing of beauty. The cost spent on red-bottom shoes today or tomorrow for a 5 or 6-year-old who is going to outgrow them in a couple months could equate to 30 times the value of that money spent in compound interest. In my opinion, even if you have enough money and can afford red bottoms, I would still put that extra money into something that would work to grow my money. Heck, once you've made enough money to secure your children's future, maybe start thinking about securing their children's futures. That's definitely a way to show Martell what he cannot do. But I believe he already knows he can't, so he's irrelevant. As I said before, and will strongly reiterate again, I believe this man legitimately and holistically hates this woman. I don't think it's a benign or abstract hate. Not that you can have such a thing, but I believe it is a hate born of hot, vicious, angry, retaliatory loathing. I believe this man wants to see his ex-wife fail, but I think that is just the beginning. Notice, in his interview with TashaK, when he mentioned Nene Leakes, at one point, TashaK mentioned how successful his ex-wife has become, and he said that that could change. Then TashaK expressed doubt and doubled down by stressing the high level of success his ex-wife has reached, how she's on the same level as Real Housewives participants. Notice what he said then. He very quickly mentioned that even Real Housewives women can go down, how their fortunes can shift. He mentioned Nene Leakes and stated, look at how, at one point, she had been on top of the game, and now look at where she is. He alluded to Melody being able to fall off her throne in a similar way, and he seemed to relish in the fact that it would be a greater fall because Melody would have 4 children with her. He was looking at his 4 children as weights that could help Melody fall farther faster. This guy is literally a horrendous human being. He is an effeminate man that is salivating at the idea of his ex-wife failing and bringing their kids with her, or at least at the idea of the kids being an additional noose around her neck. You can tell that he has used the fact that she has 4 children as a weapon against her before. You can also see that he truly hates and despises this woman, and that seeing her fail isn't enough. He must also see her fall and fall badly, and he has taken it upon himself to aid in that fall. He has seemingly made it his life's mission to come against this woman in every way his little brain knows how to, using every resource available to him to destroy her as publicly as possible. This makes this man beyond dangerous. I said the statement or title, Melody, you in danger, girl, in a funny way, as a play off the line in the classic movie I am pulling the line from. But I am being serious now. I pray a hedge of protection around you, Melody Cherie, and around your children, and around your heart and soul, and your mom and your loved ones, because the man that you were married to is no longer there. In his place is a demon summoned up from the lowest pits of hell. This man means you harm, period. So I pray that God does what God does and keeps you safe. I also pray that whatever he wishes for or plans for you comes back to him. I pray that God gives you a new purpose and a new show outside of this one, so that you can continue to shine and spread positivity and light without having to swim through quicksand to get to the surface. I don't want Love and Marriage Huntsville to go on without you, because God only knows what it will devolve into, and I don't want to even accidentally see your gutter rat on my TV, on my smartphone, on my laptop, or even running across an open field. What I want is for this show to completely go away, along with all of the equally poisonous cast, and make way for something that can do some good. Preferably a show where you and a group of other successful Black people, with no mess needed, expected, or encouraged, build businesses and wealth, which is what the point of the show was in the first place. Now, I've got to tell you, I won't be watching because I'll be too busy building businesses and wealth in real life to sit back and watch other people do it on TV. But I will be rooting for you, kind of like I'm doing now. You got this. All right, y'all. That's it, and that's all. Hello there. If you like truth, you'll like it here. Welcome. If you don't, or if you believe in groupthink or bullying others into believing the popular opinion, then this isn't the place for you. So go ahead and just cancel me now. On this channel, we don't discuss my truth or your truth. We discuss the truth, and no topic is off limits. So log in, like, subscribe, get comfy, and comment. It's nice to have you here. So let's talk.